Thanks for tuning in, guys, to the Pest and Ginja. And today I wanted to go over my most common turf questions that you guys asked me online and how to solve them at your local stores. So guys, what I did is I came down here to the local IFA and wondering what kind of questions that they get when people walk in the door, and surprisingly, it's about the same that you guys ask me every single time we get online. So we're gonna go over a few things, but let's take a look. Let's go inside.
Let's do it.
All right, so let's do this in reverse order. Let's go with top 5 questions, but let's start with the least of the top 5.
All right.
What would that be?
So probably people come in, they want to know their lawn is stressed, whether from heat or another problem, and they want to know how to get it green again.
Okay, so they went into drought, dormancy, stress, whether that
for
be
whatever reason,
heat or watering issues.
Right.
All right, so let's walk down the aisle and see what we find here. Now, for you guys at the local store, I would cut to the chase. And as you can see here, we've got Revive. Now, Revive is classified as a wetting agent. It's as you can see here, it's a 5112 plus iron. The wetting agent is going to help aquaphobic lawns, so it can actually take in the water again, and that's the number one thing about Revive. Now, if I was to get creative here and you guys can't find Revive, you can do a little bit of a combination of finding a fertilizer like this, which is straight 20% nitrogen, so like a 20-0-0. And then I personally would mix that with a Humate product, which they actually have a really nice one. I like these products here. These Humates, the nice thing is you can't overdo it. Now on that 2000 I just sent you, I would go no more than 4.5 pounds per 1,000 square feet, but I mix it with the Humates, and I'd find a calcium product. For most of you guys out there, you're not gonna wanna use a calcium sulfate unless your pH is high. If your pH is neutral, you want a calcium nitrate, and then for you guys who are low, you want some lime. Bam, we're knocking these out one by one. Number 4.
Number 4 is going to be bugs in my lawn. Got bugs in my lawn.
Just bugs in my lawn.
Bugs in my lawn. Usually grubs around here.
Okay,
grubs.
grubs.
But that's one of the most common things we get.
All right, grubs, sod webworm,
Yeah.
cranberry girdlers. I know you guys think I'm lying about it. Look it up. Kind of a weird name though. I don't know who comes up with this stuff. But.
They all go by bugs.
All right, let's take a walk. Bug control. Now, before we get into it, I kind of want to go over a couple of things. Now, some of you guys have Japanese beetles, some of you have grubs, some of you have cranberry girdlers, some of you have sod webworms. So you really have to understand the difference between a curative insecticide and a preventive insecticide. And the combination of the two, if you already have the bugs and there's still more to come, there's a big difference. So we're going to point out a couple of these active ingredients for you guys to look at, and you guys can kind of see some of the price points too. All right, Aaron, here we are. We have the Duo side, right?
Yep. So
Comes
the
in
Duo,
these big bags.
Yeah, the Duo side's very much on your curative side of the spectrum. If you've already got the problem, the Duo side's what'll help you fix it quickly, but it's not going to prevent any issues you may have down the road.
All right, so what you're saying is the bifenthrin
Yep.
and the carbaryl, which I would agree with,
Yes.
are both curative.
Absolutely.
So that just means they're a contact killer. About how long can we expect this product to last in the lawn?
I mean, really no more than 30 days if you're lucky, but not real long.
Depending on watering.
Right.
Perfect. All right, moving on to some more curative and preventive products. Now, I like the fact that both of these are side by side. Now, on the left, we have our imidacloprid 2F. On the right, we have a Bifen 7.9F, both made by quali-pro. Now, these are for your do-it-yourself or extremes, right?
Absolutely. Yep. So you can do yourself. Like I said, this is bifenthrin, same active ingredient that was in one of the two that was in Duo side.
Yes.
On your curative side, the
Yes.
imidacloprid's a cool one. What we call a systemic. It's going to get absorbed into the plant as more of a preventative and kind of treat it beforehand.
Now, an interesting factoid about some of these curative and preventive insecticides. Your Bifen is going to act more like a buoy. It's going to stay on top of the soil. It'll sink slightly, but where it resides is not below the soil. When you come to the imidacloprids, they were designed to be heavier to get by the root bases, so you have to water this in, and it does sink in, and it does pull up through the roots. All right, so now let's look at the more popular choices here. We got the Bayer Advanced, and then we've got the, how do you pronounce this, a bonicide?
Bonide, insect and grub.
Bonide, there we go. All right, so tell us about these products.
So these are going to be your combo products. So both of these will have what we call a curative, and we'll also have preventative in it as well.
Okay.
So this is something you can put down on your lawn. It'll kill what's there, but it'll also prevent for about 3 months, depending on watering and soil type.
Any difference between the two products besides the price?
There will be a slight difference in active ingredients in the two.
Okay.
Both function the same way, but the active ingredients will be slightly different.
I don't even see the active.
This has imidacloprid and beta-cyfluthrin.
Ah, cyfluthrin, gotta love that.
This one's imidacloprid and lambda-cyhalothrin.
Yes.
So they'll target a little bit different bugs. For the most part, they're very similar products.
I really like these kind of products because most of you guys don't know if there's more bugs to come or if you've missed the window. So if you're late on the grub control, you want a preventive and a curative. I find that the imidacloprids, they're gonna last about 9 weeks in the soil if you water properly and you get it down there. But if you let it dry out, it's also gonna go away faster too. So proper watering is always key, but just be sure that if you're having these kind of issues, you need to make sure to get a preventive and a curative measure. All right, moving on to question number 3.
Question number 3 we get is weeds in my lawn. How do I get rid of them without hurting my grass?
Okay, so when I think about that, there's so many different options, but it usually comes down to what kind of weeds we're dealing with.
Absolutely.
What are your top 3 most popular?
We usually see a lot of morning glory, black medic, dandelions to some extent, but they're pretty easy to take care of.
Okay.
But yeah, probably those 3 would be.
All right, the Ginja cam. Here we go. Ooh.
Down here, sometimes the soil can be pretty intimidating with all the many bottles.
This is a lot of choices,
that
man.
there are.
So again, for those of you at home that don't have access to an IFA, I want you to pay attention to the active ingredients. So let's talk about general broadleaf control. What is a good all-in-one for general broadleaf?
Okay. For general broadleaf, if you think about things like dandelions, maybe the ones we wouldn't classify as really hard to kill, something like this, we have it in IFA lawn weed killer if you're outside of the state of Utah, outside of IFA, something with a product called Trimec in it. It's going to have a combination of 3 different broadleaf weed killers there that won't harm your grass, but will do a great job taking care of most of your broadleaf weed issues.
Okay. So moving on to something a little bit more difficult. Let's talk about thistle.
Okay. Something like thistle. So over here, we've got this product called 4-Speed XT.
Okay.
So this takes some of the similar active ingredients that you found over there, but the triclopyr, particularly in here, does a great job of getting into the plant, moving through the plant, and taking care of some of those tough to kill weeds.
Now I got to be honest with you, triclopyr is one of my favorites. It really travels through the plant fast.
You get a good kill.
Sometimes what I'll do is I'll just find a baseline product like this with triclopyr in it, and then I'll just add it to another product, assuming that you don't have more of the 2,4-D components in it. But let's talk about that, because with Morning Glory, that's a tough one for our area, right?
Absolutely. Morning Glory is probably our number one, that maybe not the most common weed we find, but that's just super difficult to get rid of once it's in your lawn.
So we typically deal with Morning Glory and bindweed. They're from the same family. What is a good product they can find on the shelf for this?
This is one of the best ones. This Image all-in-one. Now the actives in this are sulfentrazone and quinclorac. So this is a really cool one. It does a lot of different things. It works fantastic on bindweed and Morning Glory, but also with that quinclorac in there, it'll also take care of a couple of those annual grasses you have.
Yeah, it's
like
a good point.
Crabgrass.
No, I really like that. Well put. Now, I couldn't tell you what it is about the quinclorac, but it knocks a lot of those viney type weeds down real fast. And so a lot of times what I like to do is I'll find something like a four-way like this, and then I'm going to add quinclorac to it just to get it through the plant a little bit faster. Now, you want to make sure these stay on label. You want to make sure that the targeted weed that you're trying to get rid of is actually on the label. If it's not on the label, you might just be adding salt and you might not actually get rid of it. It could be something like a perennial plant, so you need to be careful with that. All right, number 2, Aaron, where are we at?
You may find this hard to believe, but we get some crazies in here that listen to the Lawn Ginja, and they want to know about micros and minors, like a micro pack.
I wonder why.
Yeah, so we do carry those, but you may not be able to get the answer just from your cashier. We have a lot of real well-trained people, but if you find the expert, we've got them.
So it's a question that's pretty specific.
Absolutely.
All right, let's take a look at what you got.
All right, so here we've got our micro packs. This one is actually called Micro Pack. So you can see it's got our top 4 micronutrients, our manganese, for magnesium, iron, manganese, and zinc.
Okay.
This one is as 000, no majors in it, but has a lot of the minors. Down here we have a product called Get Green. And the difference between this is it has those same micronutrients, but it's also got a 10% nitrogen. That nitrogen is going to help make that available to your plant.
That's a good point. Now, the one thing I'm going to point out, guys, stuff's expensive. I mean, Aaron, if they don't want to spend that at home, I mean, what are the options?
For the homeowners, we got it in a smaller package here.
Oh, okay.
So in both the micro pack and the Get Green, we've got it in a 2.5 or a 5 pound.
$14 versus 22, and then what are the rates on these? I mean, obviously the homeowner's going to have, this is a wettable powder, right?
Right. So this one's going to be about 2.5 pounds to the acre.
Oh.
This one's going to be about 5 pounds to the acre.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yep.
And normally about 16 ounces to a pound, I would assume.
Yep.
So, I mean, it's fairly manageable.
It goes quite a ways. Yeah.
Okay. Now, my only dysfunction with this kind of micro pack, it's actually really good. It's going to pull some good color, but since there are no macros in it, it's going to rob from the nitrogen. And so you need to make sure that you have at least like 4% nitrogen that you're putting down. You can put down any granular that you want. It'd be pretty simple. Now for the finale.
The biggest one.
The biggest question, number one.
Number one, we get asked, what fertilizer should I put on my lawn right now? And now, seeing it's July, we're talking about the one for the heat.
Yeah, I mean, we're what, 90 degrees right now?
Yeah, we're about 90 degrees here in the Mountain West.
So what are the concerns right now putting on fertilizer?
So with the high nitrogen, high salt product, you run into some burning issues when you're putting stuff down. So we want to kind of mitigate that while getting our turf the nutrition it needs.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Let's go check it out. Yeah, buddy. Going for the pink bag. All right. All right, IFA in July.
Yes,
pink
sir.
bag.
So this is our spring and summer blend made for high heat. This one, it's got a lot of nitrogen and some micros in it, but it's got some slow release in there, so it's not going to dump all that nitrogen out at one time on your lawn and burn it. It's a lot safer to put down in the summer, and it'll kind of spoon feed your lawn for a few months.
All right, guys, you have to remember these are slow release granular. So what's going to happen is if you want to go 1 pound nitrogen over the course of 8 weeks, you're going to put down 4 pounds or 4.25 pounds. You're going to lose some of that in the urea content. So if you wanted to push it to 5 pounds, you could. However, if I were putting down this product, I go with a ½ pound rate. The reason I would do the ½ pound rate is because you're losing nitrogen with the urea content in the bag. All in all, it's a good plan. I would actually add the micro pack to this. It does have some miners in it, surprisingly. We've got some zinc and some manganese and a little bit of iron in it too, so you do get a little bit of a pop, guys. Well, guys, wrapping it up, coming to an end. If you guys have any questions or concerns, hit me up in the comments. You know I'd love to help you out. This is Pest and Lawn Ginja. Later.